On this special episode of Monica Mentors, we're going to talk about parenting my parent. The struggle is real. Did you guys know that raising kids isn't about just being their best friend? It's about providing guidance, stability, and wisdom. But what happens when the roles start to reverse? When the children feel like they're the ones who are raising their parents? Question mark on that one. So in this episode, I want to dive into the importance of consistency over companionship. When kids need leadership more than they need your leniency. And how parents, you can build trust without losing authority. Friendships will come naturally. But please understand, first, kids need a parent who shows up, who sets boundaries, and who leads with love. I want you to join me today as I unpack the balance between being present and being in charge. Because our children should not have to raise their parents. I can think of one story that I've often heard in this generation where there is no more big mama. There's no more grandmother. I have so many people who say, well, my grandmother's in the club, or baby, I ain't got time to keep no children. Get out there. Once you hit 18, even if they're not ready, we'll tell them, listen, you grown. It's time to get to going. But have we done what we need to do to create that safe, healthy space for them so when they do hit 18, they won't feel challenged by leaving? And if they don't feel that way, are they becoming the generation that feels like they're raising their parents because their parents are ready to get out there and start having a good time again? So, point one, we're going to talk about the role reversal. Here are some signs that a child may feel like they're the caregiver instead of the dependent. If there are other children in the household and the kids are constantly being told, go in there and see about your brother, go see about your sister. Well, potentially you're just sitting there, mom and dad, making plans to do what you want to do. So in other words, you have made them miniature parents. I'd say it may not even realize that's what you've done, but that's how your kids see it. Are you constantly getting them to get up and go cook dinner and make sure the house? Now, they do have to have chores, but if it feels like to them the responsibilities that they're taking on should typically be the ones their parents are handling, then your kids are feeling like they're the caregiver and not the dependent. So let's think about some common reasons, according to my research, why this may even happen. There could be some emotional immaturity. We are a generation that have children typically before the age of 21. And so there's still a lot of growth spurts that are going on for the mom and the dad, which could potentially bring some what's considered a space where they're not ready to be a parent. There could be lack of structure. What's the bedtime? What's the dinner time? What time do they have to, be in and out of school? What time is designated homework assignments, and not necessarily just jumping in front of the television or jumping on the gaming system? I remember when we were younger, let me tell you something, everybody 50 and younger, y'all all know we had the same instruction. I don't care where you were raised. You better be in the house before that pole light come on. That was a form of structure. And I know this was going to be a little hard to swallow, but there are some parents that just are not ready to be responsible. But But how does this dynamic affect your child's development and emotional well-being? I tell one of my friends all the time when her granddaughter is acting up, I say to her constantly, she does know you didn't come out the womb as an adult. Like you were a child once too. And so there are some things that we say and things that we do that may sound a little bit different to their ears than the way we intended for it to be said. So we have to be consistent with our companionship. Because if you don't, it can potentially give your kids mixed signals. Now, I don't want to exaggerate. I've never been I've always called my parents. So I was not one who was able to treat my parents like they were my friends. Even though we are friendly to each other, even with me being an adult, at 50 years old, my mom is still my mom, my dad, I'm trying to remember, and I don't want to exaggerate. I don't ever even think I have considered my mother as someone who I can be comfortable with. I mean, granted, she celebrated my 50th birthday with me, but there were some things that my friends and I did that I didn't even ask my mom to go because she's my mom. So I've kind of always known how to have boundaries with my mom, even though, my mom had me when she was under 21 years old. I still knew she was my mom. And so I don't know if there was something during that time that she created the consistency of that same space. But if you don't do that, kids can feel like, is this my parent or is this my friend, or am I parenting my parent? I think that a lot of times we don't realize that kids crave stability. They don't necessarily want friendship. I mean, they have friends, whether it be friends they go to school with. I know a lot of my cousins were my friends. A lot of people I went to church with were considered my friends, but I still wanted that stability, from my parents. And I don't know. My husband and I, we were talking, guys, not too long ago, and we had a situation, and we were talking about it, and my husband was pretty much like, what is going on with these kids? And I was like, well, you can't really fault them because our generations were the ones who started saying, you don't tell my child what to do. Don't say nothing to my child. This is my kid, and then when you took that attitude, but what did you do within the context of saying, don't say anything to my kid. Don't do this to my kid. So how did you create the space to help them develop their emotional well-being when it came to interacting with teachers and mentors and, people who were in a space of authority? Perhaps you never thought about it until this episode, because maybe the only authority that you gave them the space to consent to was you and you alone. Maybe that's why there's so much disruption in the school systems. That's what I'm having to think about. So do we think there's any dangers of being a cool parent without setting boundaries? Man, I got so many stories in my own family, but there's one I could think of. I have a family member, her and her mom I always thought they were friends. I mean, I knew they were mother and daughter, but the way they carried themselves, my entire life was different. I had a curfew. This person did not, because of how her mom carried herself and what their relationship was with each other. There were not really a lot of boundaries that I can remember. I do recall that she used to always say to her daughter, you know what to do and you know what not to do. Not sure what that meant, but that was perhaps the mom's way of protecting their companionship space. But then what was interesting to me, guys, is that when this young lady, when she started having her own children, then there was a consistency of setting boundaries with her children because of the things she felt that she did not have to face had she understood those things from her own mom. Not saying either way is a right or wrong answer. You know, one of the things that I always do with you guys on this platform is just give you food for thought and introduce conversations that we don't even realize are necessary conversations, but it's something we need to start talking about. And did you guys know that inconsistency for kids leads to extreme confusion? What can I do? What can I do? Can I go here? Can I go there? Do I have to ask permission to do? Well, no, because I was able to do this. And so they didn't say anything that time. And so you come and say something this time. Now you're causing confusion, which a lot of kids have stated that's what causes anxiety. The lack of consistency in their lives. It could even cause resentment in your children. Again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. What is consistency over companionship? Children need authority. They desire it more than you guys think they do. We desired it. Listen, if somebody can put it in the comments and tell me, because I honestly don't know. We had that growing up. I'm not quite sure why we decided that it wasn't good for our kids to have it. Now, listen, let me give this disclaimer because, I always tell you guys this show is for entertainment purposes only, even though I want you to come in week over week and learn new things, new tips and tools to put into practice in your family. Because don't forget, we're going back to save the generation. But I want you to also kind of do a self-evaluation. And just think back, what was the pivotal moment for you that you decided that having boundaries, and I know we hate the word rules, but just standards, that word may be a little bit more comfortable, maybe standards for our children. When did we decide that that was no longer acceptable to raising children? And then when did we decide that we want our children to be our friends? Listen, when me and my friends go out, somebody gonna pay, even if we splitting the bill. Your children don't grow up paying bills in the household. Now, you might give them allowance and let them do things, but I'm trying to give you some practical things to think about so you can kind of almost self-evaluate where your way of thinking came from on this particular conversation. Because there is a difference between guidance, mom and dad, and control. You can figure out how to be firm, but you still need to figure out how to be fair. And so you may have to practice it. Practice some ways to establish structure while still maintaining a close relationship. There's a biblical principle on parenting that I love, and you guys know I've been using it from day one of us starting our podcast. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he or she should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. But you got to learn how to break the cycle on children feeling like they're parenting their parent. And you can claim that role back simply, mom and dad, by shifting. Go from being their peer to being their parent. Again, with healthy leadership. I have friends who I know who are able to call their parents by their first name, and they may not even realize it. I may notice it, and other people may notice it because we're kind of on the outside looking in. But a lot of my friends who are able to do that, they don't. Do they respect their parents? Yeah, but there's still a level of to me, they don't seem to respect them the same as calling them casually mom and dad versus casually calling them by their first name, and seeing that the level of respect does seem more like a friend than a parenting relationship. So you got to learn how to rebuild trust and respect in the parent-child relationship, especially if you have crossed over into that world of my children may feel like they're parenting me. You got to encourage your children to embrace your authority without fear of losing that parental connection. It's okay to be friendly, but let's be careful being friends. And then kids need parents who show up. I don't do the club scene anymore. I'm too old for that. I love to have fun, though. I love, 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 love to travel. But I can do that because I don't have kids at home. But there are some of you guys that still have kids there, and you're not showing up. Sit down and watch a movie with them sometimes. Have some conversations with them, but not being so casual. There was this show that was on television the other night, and I'm not going to call any names, but I heard this comedian say something about this gospel artist that was, the comment may not have been a comment that I would use, but it just felt like there was a lack of respect for who this gospel singer is. And even though that gospel singer said, he didn't react because he knew that individuals, especially in the church, would have a problem with the statement. But for me, I just felt like, wow, he was really comfortably casual with who that person is. And so maybe think about it that way. When you are too lax with your children, are you in some ways taking away your own authority? And then how can you genuinely try to discipline them or, stand up when you've already established that they don't necessarily have to follow what you say or do what you say, or you've become so lax with them that when it is time again for them to step up and receive your authority, they don't even know how to do it because you've not given them balance in that area. At the end of the day, kids don't need a buddy in their parents, especially not when they're younger. They need you to lead them. They need a leader. They need parents who are willing to show up, to set boundaries, and especially to provide them with wisdom that lasts long beyond their childhood. I'm going to say it over and over again until I'm blue in the face. Proverbs 22:6 reminds us, train up our children in the way that they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. So when is the last time have you asked yourself, are you guiding your child, or is your child guiding you? Are you giving your children structure and the security they need? Or are you just simply afraid to step into your parental responsibility? It's never too late to shift the dynamic. Be the parent your children need you to be today, so they don't have to feel like they're raising you and themselves tomorrow. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this special episode of Monica Mentors. And I want you to always remember what I say. Let's keep leading with love, wisdom, and consistency. I'll see you guys on the next episode.